Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters around the globe, here today we have our brother Resean. We will be recording how he find Islam and the story behind it. And please feel free to make like and subscribe to the video. And if you have any comments, please feel free to write them down. And we will be more than happy to answer any question in the future, inshallah. And now we will gonna let our brother Resean start tell us. So, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Resean. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
35 years old, about to be.
Mm-hmm.
Come from St. Thomas, United States Virgin Islands. Come here when I was about 7 years old. My family, their religious background is based on, my father's side is Rastafarian. My mother's Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our family is Christian. Coming up to the United States, everything's kind of different. Where I was at, there wasn't too many people that I knew that was like from my island. And church services and everything, but it's weird how I've never really found God until I found Islam. It didn't faze me. But the knowledge of the truth is what guided me towards that.
So how did you find Islam? Or how did Islam find you?
How did Islam find me? Yeah, that's a better question. Islam found me through, I would say, trials and tribulations.
Okay. Could you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah. I would say, I think my journey started when I felt I was in between different worlds, in a sense. I was a father, my kids were getting older, I was still in the street, I was doing stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing. My ego was the biggest thing. The ego was the biggest thing. Nafs, right?
Yes, nafs. And kibr.
Yes. These are things that challenge men, black men in America also, like, challenge you a lot. And it's like getting through that in China and battling that every day is what brought me to Islam. Dealing with the same thing. You do something, somebody does something to you, you feel that it should be repaid. But it never really has to, because I brought that situation onto myself. So, me bringing that situation on myself constantly, it was like somebody was pushing me away from that life, because it's like, how am I going to be a dedicated father, somebody who loves his children, somebody who wants to do the good thing, and still be in the street doing stuff that I really shouldn't be doing, being in a gang, illegal guns and drugs, and unnecessary things that weren't going to bring me anywhere. And then going to prison, the one thing that happened to me, the best thing that happened to me, I got in a fight. And after I got in a fight, I was on the phone with my son's mother, and she told me so much about what was happening between the people that I thought had love for me. But it's crazy how Allah will strip you from all those titles that are unnecessary. I don't need to have none of that street cred. I don't need to have none of this power that I thought I had, because it was finicky. It was frail. It doesn't matter.
So the best thing happened to you
is me.
That's something everyone thinks this is the worst thing could happen to them, isn't it?
Yes. You go into prison. It took all those titles that I thought I held, and I tried to uphold myself to. It took all that away from me. And it was the best thing that happened to me, because they don't mean anything. They're not going to... It wasn't feeding my family. and it wasn't feeding my soul in any way, shape, or form.
It
So-
took away the privilege of being there, seeing your son growing up, the privilege of,
Yes,
but it gave you time to yourself to think.
gave me a lot of time to myself to think, but the best part about that is being there now for them. It's a completely different thing because it's not
You mean before Islam and after
before
Islam?
Islam. Now Islam. Now
So-
having this foundation that I have, it's better. It's way better. You know, it's
In what form? If you don't mind me asking.
no in the form of as in how I want them to respect their mother, how I want them to respect people around them, how I want them to hold themselves at a certain status, how they should see themselves, how they should act, because they're going to mimic me. And they need to see me acting better than the rest of anybody else. If they see their dad is better than this person, there's no reason for them to act like that person. You know,
So Islam made you a better role model for your kids.
of course.
So during life and your life experience and trying to figure out the best option, did you try to, like, sometimes it's very hard for someone to switch his belief, the beliefs that you grow up. So were you religious in the background, in the face you were
No, I mean the closest thing that I was a Rastafarian.
Rastafarian?
Yes,
Sorry, I
and-
just
And it's it's and it intrigued me. Rastafarian religion intrigued me because of the black culture that it was founded on. It wasn't founded based on like black people because I think it was based on Judaism a little bit, but it's a little bit different than that also. I just like the way they talk to me. Like my
That's
father's
a-
family, just the way they talked in church. I found everything confusing, and it's
terms
not
of
like
what?
Islam. It's not like Islam. It's in Islam
like what make you confuse here and what make you not confuse here? Just
because they don't tell. I was told to read my Bible. I read the Bible. That they try to make me understand it the way they want me to.
okay.
I never understand it the way I needed to. So when they talk to you, if you have a pastor or like a junior pastor, like somebody who teaches the kids, they explain it for you. But they don't, I've never was encouraged to basically read it and give my understanding of it.
Mm.
You know?
Okay.
So, and that is encouraged in Islam, is to find your own truth, like find the truth in what you see. Obviously, there are people who are experts and they will help you understand it. But as in the Bible, like, I don't know, I just found it confusing. I don't find it confusing now, though.
Oh, so now after you became a Muslim and you try to study the Bible, now you don't find the Bible
I
as
don't find it
confusing,
confusing at
as
all.
before?
Yeah.
You mean more knowledge in Christianity or Rastafarian, or more knowledge about Islam that established this?
I think Islam teaches everything.
Okay.
So I think Islam teaches the Bible. I think Islam teaches the Torah, and Islam teaches the Quran. So by studying Islam, you'll learn all these things. And not necessarily Rastafarian because it's kind of different,
Okay.
but as in the Abrahamic faiths, it teaches you step by step throughout these time periods.
Oh, I just learning something new. Just would love to share. We shouldn't actually call it like Abrahamic faces.
Oh well,
It's
yeah.
only Islam.
Yeah. No, but the
different ruling.
the
yes.
different rulings
Understanding
from
the different rulings.
you
yes.
know from the faith of Abraham,
Yes. Which is Muslim.
which is it was just
It's
Islam.
Islam, yeah.
So but what came from
Judaism and Christianity
Judaism,
as
Christianity,
ruling.
and
yes.
then Islam. Yes,
That's good.
yeah.
So, tell us more about your journey, if you don't mind. Like how, like, so you just went in a fight and got you in a jail. And then you got time to yourself.
I got time to myself. I was in the hole.
So how did you find Islam in jail? It's
So-
also because a lot of people are very interesting why people convert to Islam in jails, why people, and also why, like, what make Islam a desirable religion for you to follow? Sorry, so many questions in my head.
It's okay.
Just go ahead.
I would say, okay, so after I went to the hole, and then I think it was like a Catholic, like pastor or something. He was handing out daily breads, and he was handing out these Catholic Bibles. So I started reading the Bible, and then I realized that every time before this time, I go to jail when I'm in the hole or when I'm bored or whatever the case is, and because you feel down, and a lot of people when they feel down, they look towards God.
Yes, yes. We
So-
only remember God when we have need.
At the worst times, please help me. So you look towards God, and I'm reading it, and I just had that thought, like, I've never read the Quran. Never read it. And I asked him, and I was surprised that the next day he gave me a Quran.
Wow.
He gave me a Quran. I didn't think he was going to give it to me. He kept slipping these daily breads and things under my door. I don't do drugs, so like some of the stuff it's meant for everybody, but it's a whole lot for people who are trying to find sobriety. And I'd read them, but I'm like, I want to read the Quran. So I get the Quran, and I'm reading it, and I'm fascinated by it, but I didn't really understand it.
What make you fascinated about it?
The way the way it portrayed itself, like the way it was, the storytelling in it is the first thing that got me. The storytelling, because I just kind of like opened it up and just flipped through it. So then you find these stories, and you're just reading it. I didn't understand it at first, so I'm just reading it. After leaving the hole and going to a different unit, I met a guy. He said he had the kufi on his head, and we started working out. He was from Boston. I started working out with him. I said, "Hey, I'm reading the Quran." He said, "Yeah." He said, "It's not just like a book. Like, you can pick it up. You can read it at any point in time you want. You could read it in different places. You don't have to start from the beginning to the end." I was like, "Yeah, but I'm trying to understand it." He gave me these passages every day to read, and he gave like ayats, surahs. He would give me these things, and he asked me what did I struggle with the most. So when he asked me these things that I struggle with the most, he'd find these ayats, he'd find these surahs, and he said, "Can you read this for me?"
I will ask you the same question in a different occasion. Like, what is your struggles? But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what he wanted to know. He didn't want to know why I was reading the Quran. He wanted to know, how can the Quran help me? That's all he wanted to know. He didn't try to convert me. He just wanted to know how he could help me. What was I dealing with? Because this Muslim man who's also in prison with me, he knows what he's dealing with. So he already knows what to look for to help himself. But as in helping himself, he wants to help his fellow man. So he looked at me as a person that he can help with the help of Allah, guide.
MashaAllah.
Yes.
So, at this moment in time, you never thought of converting. You were just browsing.
Just browsing. And then he said, "Sean," he said, "Hey." So I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He said, "It's Tuesday. Friday, the Imam's coming here. I'm mentioning this because I would like to put you on the list to go to Jummah."
Jummah prayer.
Yeah. Like, what is that? He said, oh, he talks, gives a speech, and we pray. He's like, you don't have to pray. You can join if you want to. But you don't have to. But I would like for you to go to hear what he has to say. I said, all right. And it was weird because that Friday I was in the worst mood. I don't remember what happened, but I was not feeling good. I just was in a bad mood. And at that prison, they would pop your doors at these certain times, and he said, oh, Muslim services. So I'm laying down and I'm mad. My door pops. Smith, Muslim services. I get up. I see my friend. He's like, you coming? I said, yeah. I go to Jama'ah, and I hear exactly what I needed to hear that day. Exactly.
What does this make you feel?
It's not even a feeling I really can describe, honestly. Yeah, I don't.
You felt God tried to send you a message? You felt like God is...
Oh, he was.
He was
Did
close
I
to you?
understand it at that time? No. Did I feel like some type of coincidence? Yes. These aren't things that you grasp right away. It's a lesson that is pondered, and you're like, these things happen for all for reasons. All of it happens for reasons.
You don't think like your friend just snitched on you, tells the imam, oh, I have a friend coming and he's going through so and so and so on.
He didn't have time to. I'm pretty sure he didn't have time to. I seen him. He worked out every day. He was a couple of cells down from me. He didn't have time to do any of that. It was all meant. It was all for a reason.
Did you share your feelings with him when you were moody, or that was only something you are the only one who knows?
You know, it was crazy. As I told him about how I felt maybe a week, no, 2 days before he left. And the day that he left, the day that he left was a Thursday. The Friday after that Thursday, I took my shahada.
MashaAllah. When did you know that you are going to? Like, at what stage you made your mind? Like, how long it took you to study? How long it took you to listen to the speaker?
Less than a month.
To make your mind?
Yeah. I would say within that month, it took me listening to it. I think it took me less than a month to know that I was going to take my shahada. It took me at least a little bit more than a month to take my shahada, only because of my own stubbornness and wanting to know certain things. I don't like jumping into stuff, but
people think that 1 month is short term.
To just become
change your belief.
I didn't, and it's not even the fact that and that's the one thing that actually made me know that I was going to be a Muslim, because I wasn't changing my belief. I really had no belief. I really had no belief system. I have no structure when it comes to me having a relationship with Allah. I have no structure. There was no structure given to me. There was no structure founded in me. It was go to Sunday's church and Sunday school. It was sing. It was pray when they told me to pray. It was open your book to this chapter and read with me. And then it was somebody talking. I never understand the message in itself. Some of them, you understand it. You know what they're talking about. But as in actually feeling it, it is absolutely the 100% truth that Allah guides. And if he guides, he guides you, and nobody can misguide you. So I know that at that point in time, I was being guided. I was going to take my shahada, and the only thing that was holding me back was my stubbornness in wanting to know more and not seeming that I wasn't sincere.
So you try to take your time to make sure that you're sincere in this action. You're not just.
Yes.
A lot of people say people convert in jail because of the meal. they want
It wasn't
halal.
that good. It wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good. Okay.
It is. There's little smaller
So-
portions.
No,
sometimes.
I'm just.
They were different. The
Yeah.
halal meals were definitely different.
So you don't like they think like it's a privilege. So they're like, oh, I just want to convert to Islam, so I could get some of this privilege of the halal meals that they offer.
I don't know. I think that some people who do that, they still end up finding Allah, in that way.
Yeah.
But some people who then you have the other ones who do it, and it doesn't. They just do it for that, and they don't want to pray. They're not going to go to Jama'ah. They're not going to.
Allah Azza wa Jal said that إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. You cannot guide the ones that you love, but Allah could guide. Like when Allah wants someone to be guided, He'll be guided
Yes.
regardless. But our love or passionate for them cannot really guide them, and sometimes people are. They think the halal meal is better. Some people think that it's good to have the halal meal,
Mhm.
so they just took their shahada for the meal.
Yes.
However, some of them do study too before
Yeah.
they took it, before
Yeah.
they took the meal.
When they find stuff out,
Yeah,
and then they like it.
and then they like it. So in your personal experience, when was the point that completely set you off? Like when, is there was a point that it's completely like, okay, I know I will be Muslim, it's just about time.
Yeah, that point was the last thing that I thought. Like, I had people in the gang that I was in talking about me because of the fight that I was in. And everybody portrayed me as somebody that was not who I was before. Like, so how they see me as before, like, I'm older than a lot of these guys. I'm like, everybody else that's older than me, they already have families. They basically quit. They're around, but they're not doing nothing. So now I'm one of the oldest that are still around. So I'm that guy that people come to. So now they see me as like, oh, I was scared and I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to do nothing or whatever. Like, I wasn't being the person who they know I was on the street. And they were all talking about me like this, like they don't know who I am. It's like, and in my head, I'm like, what? I fought all those dudes. And they don't even want problems with me. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know where any of this is. I don't know where it's coming from. In my head, I'm like, where's all this? Why is somebody I've known for 15 years talking about me back? And I fed some of these dudes. I lived with me when they had nowhere to live. I helped take care of their kids. Like, our kids know each other. Our families know each other. And these dudes are talking about me like I'm nobody. They're not helping me out. They're not doing nothing for me. At that point in time, and now still being introduced to Islam, being introduced to the practices, I seen it. I seen that so much was just being stripped from me, and I'm just like, do I really need these people? Do I really need any of this? It's like, what am I gonna do when I leave here? And
Leave
how am I
here.
gonna be able to better myself?
Live here as a place, as a jail, or as a country, or as a life.
As a
Leave.
life.
As
Here,
a life.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, is this necessary to continue?
No, now we have COVID, so it's a great opportunities that we might leave. That's for a joke. Just, it's a great opportunity.
You never know. You never know. Back to Africa.
Yes.
So.
So I know that the only services that you got in the facility was like 30 minutes, or maybe a couple hours. I will say max was like what, 4 hours
Yes.
in total with classes and services and stuff. And then you go back to your cell.
Yes.
So was that enough for you to know the religion better?
it wasn't that. It was the fact that I was given information.
Mhm.
So I was told something, I was given information, and I was told not just to read, but just think about it. So there's so much that just applied to me. It's way too much that applied to me, you know, and it made me realize that Islam is perfect. We're flawed. Like human in itself as a race, the human race, we're just flawed in so many ways. But we're given a blueprint on how we should be. We're given prophets to show how we should act. And there's no way to look at it as bad. There's no way to look at yourself and look at the actions that you're supposed to portray and say, I want to go the other way.
Hard. Is it?
The other way, I feel that living that way, my past, I feel that that's harder. You deal with so many, like, what woman wants to be faithful to a person that is not faithful to them, you know?
Mhm.
What woman, why would you expect your kids to respect you when you don't respect other people? Why would you, like, how do you see your parents being proud of you when you're not proud of yourself? And if you are proud of yourself for these evil misdeeds, like, then that's something for you to look at and try to understand why your mind is like that. You know, because I'm pretty sure if you gave a man a job and it was an honest job and he made really good money and he worked, and then you gave a man the same amount of money, but he did it dishonestly and he had to do it in worse environments, he's not going to be a happy person.
You're not going to be able to perform.
He's not going to be a happy person. Selling drugs and having to be around people who have a habit and dealing with that eats at you. When you see people like that and you're destroying lives, or if you're working with people, or you work in a grocery store and you put produce and everybody asks you questions on what's the best thing to buy, and oh, we just got this in, this is good, oh, thank you, they're so happy with you, you know, and you're happy with yourself because you just helped somebody. You're not helping anybody by destroying their lives. So I don't see any person being happy with the evil that they bring to this world. I don't see that as true happiness.
So back to the questions that I asked, where was that unique moment that you said about like the gangs and how
That
they
was it.
spoke? So that like at this point you said, but like quitting gang and stuff like this, I think you could do this while you're still being in your faith.
Yeah, it wasn't about.
So what make Islam jump in the table to be like, oh, I have to pick this faith to be my faith, and I'm quitting?
It wasn't about picking it. It was about, this is, like I said, this is the way to be. That was the point of saying that. Like, this is.
So
This
it
is
wasn't
air.
a choice. You felt
Yeah,
it's
it
not a
wasn't-
choice.
It's not. This is air.
No.
This is something that's the fluidity of it. Like, it went with how I am. You know, it just feels right. Yeah, you know.
And in that matter, I have tons of questions in my head still, but like I'm trying to. So I know I have asked you that question before. Like at what point you felt, going back to the same subject, like at what point you felt, okay, this is the moment that I want to take my shahada and I want to be Muslim. This is the time for me to change.
It was when knowing that basically it felt right for me.
Okay.
I knew in me, like in my head, everything about me felt like, I'm Muslim. Before I took my shot, I was like, yeah, I'm Muslim.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know what it's going to take for me to be for people to acknowledge me as a Muslim, which I didn't even feel like I need. But just in me, I knew, like, yeah, I'm Muslim. Because I didn't have a religion. I was born into a religion with my family, but as in understanding, I didn't have an understanding. This gave me my understanding.
Did you join any other services in jail? Or was the only service you joined was Muslim service?
Yeah, Islamic studies and going to Jummah that was it. Like I never went anywhere else because
I have some resources. They said that deep resources. I'm not spying on you.
Okay.
They said that you were in a service and you tried to ask questions and they said no, don't ask questions.
Actually, I think no.
And since someone told you, in Islamic service we ask questions, so I was like, okay, let me try. Was that correct, or was a rule?
I was in no. I think I was you know what it was? I think I was it was a class that I was supposed to take, and I was waiting for it might have been the Catholic services to be over. So I was just there, and I don't know. This is one thing that's hard for a lot of Muslims when they become a Muslim and when they revert. When they know something and they hear somebody saying something else, it's hard to say you're wrong. You can't always. You got to figure out how to not always try to be right. You have to.
You have to learn to fail to learn.
Yes, you got to let people do. If they ask you questions, because I remember being there with the kufi on, they're like, oh, you're welcome here, and I'm like, why wouldn't I be welcome here? Like they had to make me feel like I was welcome here because they knew that I wasn't a Christian or Catholic or whatever the services was. But then a lot of people do this, like especially like people, they want to try to prove a point to you, so they say, you know that Jesus loves you, right? Or you know this, and it just me.
Why me?
Why are you pointing? Yeah, these people are all Catholics. Like, why aren't you talking to them? Like, I told you I was waiting. This lady, other people are coming in for this other, class that we're taking right now. Everybody's sitting there. Other people are talking. Some people aren't even paying attention to you.
Okay.
So, and then you have your own group that is standing in front of you. All I did was sit down because you're talking, and I'm not trying to be rude, and I want to hear what you have to say. But then you say something to me, and then I feel like I have to say something back. You mean the beloved Jesus? Yes, son of Mary. Yeah.
We love him too.
Yeah, we love him. Yeah, I love him. We love him.
Allah understand. So I'm so sorry to say that we have to end at this question. We will have a part 2, of course. The time with you flies, and it was very, I'm very thankful for you to give us the time of your valuable time to share it with us and to tell us and to educate us about this experience that led you to Islam. And inshallah we will have another session if you don't mind, so people could learn more and ask more questions and stuff like this from the questions that they have asked that we didn't get through yet. Sorry for that. Cannot guarantee how fast I'm going. And I would like to thank everyone that is watching us in this video. And please, if you like this, don't forget to like the channel, like the video, and also subscribe to the channel. Jazakumullah khairan. As well as just a quick reminder, this is also based in a project for a non-profit organization called The Defining Moment. And we try to help people in correction facilities by supplying them with material establishing Islamic library in jails, as well as try to provide them with service. It's a brand new non-profit. We are working on it, so please support us. Jazakumullah khairan, and see you in the next video, part 2.